All-Star Game MVPs are a real part of a player's historical legacy. Like, so there's a very famous picture of Michael Jordan that shows him in front of all his major NBA trophies. So the 6 titles, the 5 league MVP trophies, the 6 finals MVP trophies. And in that picture is his 3 All-Star Game MVP trophies. And I always felt those kind of look out of place. Like, those are not part of his lore. So I don't think this is like a legacy statement for LeBron. But I do think that it was awesome to see the best player in the world in a competitive game amongst the other best players in the world in an important weekend for the NBA, in a week where LeBron's had to talk about everything but basketball because of the nonsense swirling around him, that he stepped up on both ends of the court from start to finish. CeCe's the oldest guy out there. He plays the most minutes. He hits the shot to tie it. He hits the shot to give him the lead. He gives him the assist to not quite seal the game, to give him a 3-point lead. And then the defensive stand along with KD on Steph. Like, it was, the NBA couldn't have scripted it better. And the fact that their best player was the best player on the court was quite fitting.
Yeah, and all those trophies, I disagree with you as far as Michael Jordan. All those trophies should be there because it's the perfect time for the best players not to play. They got every excuse, all the distractions, they're the best, all the obligations, all the things that are required of them, media. They could take that weekend off. They know that he's logging the most minutes. Like, so for me, I do believe those trophies, they should be in there because it is the biggest stage besides the finals, which a lot of players don't make it to the finals. When are you going to see all the best players? At the All-Star game. And, Nick, you know that I'm one, if they're keeping score and if the lights are on, I'm about doing your absolute best. So I do think that it's important that LeBron, when Steph is there, when KD is there, that if he is the absolute best, that does go along with his other MVP during the regular season or finals MVP or finals trophy. So I think it's very, very important that the best do their best. We talked about Adam Silver changing the rules and wanting to be more emphasis. Well, why wouldn't we put an emphasis on the best players? So this was a very competitive All-Star game. So I'm glad to see how the players performed. And Russ winning the MVP the last couple years, I believe it was nice to see LeBron or one of the marquee guys. And it wasn't just based on offense. It was based on how he normally plays during the regular season with an all-round game.
And well, what about relative to how his month had went in January and then where he's trending now? I mean, we've seen a rejuvenated LeBron with all the changes in the how much
February
is
shaking up to be as good as January was bad for LeBron and the Cavs as a whole. Now, we'll see the Cavs again. We've seen a very small sample of them post-trade deadline, but they've looked great in both of those games with the new players. And LeBron does look re-engaged, rejuvenated, and ready to attack this last third of the season. And it is worth noting, LeBron's played in every game this year, which is he doesn't take a lot of time off, but almost every year he takes off 5 to 7 games without being injured. He's played in every game this year until last night. The other interesting thing to me, CeCe, was aside from LaMarcus Aldridge, who played 4 minutes, and Al Horford, who the store sheet says he played 12, but man, I don't remember a single one of them. There were no 30-year-olds out there. It's a young man's league, of course. These guys are as young as Embiid and Towns. To the older end is Durant and Steph. And then there's 33-year-old LeBron James, drafted in 2003, who's still the standard bearer for all these guys who are supposed to be in their athletic primes.
Nick, did the new format save the All-Star game?
The format and the fact that the players bought into it is what turned around the All-Star game. It saved.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered if the league office would have just changed it.
Right. If the players weren't invested, and we had Chris Mannix on earlier, he said that everyone around the game was saying if LeBron takes it seriously, everyone will take it seriously. But it's not just LeBron. If LeBron's out there taking it seriously, but Durant isn't, and Steph isn't, and the Warriors, who have, you know, a quarter of the most important players out there, if they're goofing around, then it will trickle down from there. LeBron did take it seriously, but so did KD. So did Steph. So did basically everyone out there. I didn't see anyone screwing around. We knew Russ was going to come and play like a regular game because he always does in every game he plays. But the very, very best players, the players a slight cut above Russ, took it as seriously as you could have. Given the fact that it's an All-Star game, you still want some of the high-flying dunks. You still, if it's a fast break, maybe let him go and see if you can get an alley-oop. I get that. And what it created was high-quality drama throughout. Team Steph seemed to have a 7 to 11 point lead a lot of the game, but never bigger than that. And Team LeBron was able to push back, and then at the end went on a good final stretch. And you saw Kyrie and LeBron have a little nice 1-2 in it. You saw KD and Russ have a nice moment in it, which is some cool things from teammates of the past. And so I thought it was great. I thought it started with the league office making the change, in addition to maybe the commentators, some of the former players criticizing these guys. And then it trickled down to the players actually caring, and it gave us a great event.
Yeah, it started at the league office, but then it continued on into the draft. Because LeBron, with the first pick, if he decides, I'm not going to play with the guys from Golden State, I'm going to let Steph draft all those guys, then that would have been a bad pick because KD is the second best player in the world. So the intensity for which they even drafted the players set up the stage for, once they got to Los Angeles, rumor has it that LeBron and the other players, the leaders, were very, very serious at the walkthroughs and the shoot-around. So in that, they started to see it's about leadership. And these guys setting a good example, which I believe will be a trickle-down effect. You asked a question, did it save the game? Joel Embiid, Giannis, and these guys, when they start to see that this is an all-star game that they grew up with, that is more competitive, then it will carry over to the years when they are the premier players in the league. So I thought that the top players, those top three, set a great example of what they want to see. And you realize you're partnering with the league office. So they could have not done it. But then, so it just would have been noise coming from the league office. So partnering with the commissioner, that relationship that they have together, which is more of, I'm going to help you do your job, you help me do my job, compared to the relationship that we see that exists today between the NFL players and the union. It doesn't have that same camaraderie that the NBA has.
Well, we heard LeBron credit Adam Silver, and you think of it, this is the All-Star game, but think about Silver pushing up the trade deadline, the reduction of back-to-back games, the idea of potentially changing the playoff format, the lottery draft reform in 2019. What does that say about the commissioner, his open-mindedness?
I'm going to go a step further, and this was something that was brought up before the show by one of our great producers, Pepper, that the great relationship between the league office, Adam Silver, and the players started really with the Donald Sterling thing. That was right after Adam Silver took over. Adam Silver took on what was a terrible controversy and a very difficult one, and clearly did as strong of an action as he could without totally alienating the owners, but did what the players wanted him to do. And that set the template for, as Cris mentioned, when you have I grew up in a union family, so theoretically, when you have a collectively bargained agreement, the union and management are supposed to be partners working together. That is what the NBA has been under Adam Silver, a little different than under David Stern, certainly different than what we see in the NFL, where it feels like the players and the league and the commissioner are constantly at odds. And so you saw the league embrace some of the things the players wanted, whether it's more rest, whether it's the trade deadline, whether it's the All-Star format, and you saw the players then hold up their end by taking the game seriously.
Yeah, and it'd be easy for us, too, to give Adam Silver all the credit. It'd be easy for us to say, man, wow, the top players, in the league, Durant, LeBron, Steph, like all these guys are buying in. But who's head of them? Like, who's head of the association, of the Players Association?
Chris Paul?
For the players.
Yeah.
But it's a woman.
Oh, Michelle Roberts.
Yes.
Oh, okay, Michelle Roberts.
So we'll miss her if we don't look at it all. So it's her relationship with Adam Silver, which trickles into Chris Paul and into LeBron and into Durant and the rest of the troops. So a lot of times we see this union. We saw this in the NFL when we had Gene Upshaw and Paul Tagliabue. We haven't seen it recently, but that's when you're successful. When the league office partners with the Players Association, which just happens to be led by a fantastic lady who has all these men marching to the right beat, where they're all bought in. Like, they feel like there's a partnership that if I get cut, then you bleed. So it's nice to see, and it's playing out that we as consumers of the product, we're being blessed as fans of the product.
And before I move on, the other thing that happened this weekend that goes along with that is there was a problem brewing this year between the players and a different union, the refs. And what did the league orchestrate? Guys, get together and talk about this. Figure this out, because there's too much angst. There's too much drama going on between the players and refs. And we're not going to deal with it in the offseason. We're going to deal with it right now. We're going to try to work a solution. They theoretically did. We'll see how long it holds. But things like that, deal with issues in the moment as partners to make the league better, is one of the reasons I believe the league continues to grow in popularity.
Well, and with that said, speaking of growing in popularity, we see that guy LeBron James.
Yes.
And Nick, how good has this month been, this month of February, considering where he was at through January?
Right. I mean, it would appear that February might be as good for LeBron personally and for the Cavs as January was bad for the team. You get the whole team makeover. He seems to be rejuvenated, as energetic as we saw him at the beginning of the season. And then you saw a week where he took on a lot. He took on political commentary. He took on some fire from his political commentary. He then didn't back down from that. He had to answer questions that were not basketball related. We're not even future free agency related. We're more in the political realm. He then has, like as Cece mentioned, he takes Kevin Durant first in the draft and then embraces the competition of this. And for it to culminate in the final few minutes of the game, with LeBron getting an and one to draw it close, and then a three to tie the game, and then a layup to give him the lead, and then the stop along with KD on Steph, I thought it was a perfect ending for the week for LeBron, for the NBA's best player on its biggest stage to shine like he did and win the All-Star MVP, which is not an award I care that much about, but I know, Cece, you care about you think all of these trophies that you can win matter, and now he's got 3 of them, which is the second most ever.
Well, I think they're more important when you're a great player. If you're a great player and you don't have them, what's your excuse? Well, you got championships, you got MVPs during the regular season. Well, when all the All-Stars get together, you can't shine there. Like, you're not that good. When that light is on, you can't shine. So for me, I just love to see the consistency. So the greatest players that have ever played this game, typically they've all won championships. Typically they've all won MVPs. And when you get us all together, guess who's the best among us? The ones that we thought was the greatest. So in that sense, I think it's very important. I just think it's important right now as an athlete that you're able to be the type of role model that not only kids but society. Because society, man, like, we need something besides what we're seeing on a daily basis. So as athletes, I'm glad athletes can feel a part of that void. I'm glad that LeBron is the type of person that he is on and off the field. And I love to see the overall popularity. The NFL, right now, I mean, they are the king. But the NBA is gaining traction year after year, month after month. It's more of the mainstream media, also in the offseason. So I love to see that this all-star break, this is like the kickoff to the rest of the season. We only have a third of the season left. Yep. With the trade deadline, I believe it's going to be amazing. So it'll be amazing to see who can unseat Golden State, or what are the storylines as we go down the stretch.
And with LeBron being, as Chris mentioned, a great role model and socially conscious, the best player in the world sets the template for everyone else. When Jordan was the best player, it was just kind of understood, listen, Jordan's going to stay out of that arena, so it's okay for all of us to.
Yes, it made it easier for the rest of them to stay out of it.
Right. I don't know that Iverson was ever the best player, but he was certainly the most iconic player for a time, and people started to mimic him a little bit more. LeBron, as the best player, guys now are mimicking him off the court as well.
I can't guarantee this, but I don't think Kevin Durant says anything politically if LeBron's not in that car with him. So the support and being there, I believe, helped him.
I 100% agree.
And I guarantee you this. We wouldn't have had a great show, Sarah, if you didn't show up.
No, NBA is in good hands with LeBron. I'm always in good hands with you,
thank you so much for filling in. We
Thank
really
you, guys.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.